All right, let's dive into one of the most specific and honestly one of the strangest numbers in the entire Bible. It pops up in a story about fishing, but as we're about to find out, it has almost nothing to do with the actual fish.
It's a great question, right? Because the author of John's Gospel is super selective with the details he includes. He even says so. So when a precise number like this shows up, it's like a big flashing sign telling us, hey, pay attention to this. This is definitely not just some random detail an eyewitness remembered. 153. Not around 150, not a boatload of fish, but exactly 153. That kind of specificity, well, that's the key to unlocking this whole story. It's a number that's practically screaming for an explanation. So to really get this number, we've got to picture the scene. The disciples are kind of stuck. I mean, Jesus has been resurrected, but what are they supposed to do now? They're confused, they're not sure what's next, so they just go back to what they know. They go back to fishing, back to their old lives before the mission really started. Okay, so what we've got here is a real mystery. Let's start breaking down the clues hidden in this story to figure out why this number matters so much. The story immediately sets up this incredible contrast. I mean, think about it. It starts with total failure. You have 7 professional fishermen working all night long, and they catch absolutely nothing. 0. Then, some stranger on the shore yells out a simple command, and boom, their nets are so full they can't even drag them into the boat. In that contrast, well, it gets right to the heart of the whole thing. This story isn't a lesson in how to fish better. No way. It's a powerful symbol. It's showing that when you're working on your own, even with all your skill and effort, you end up with nothing. But a single, simple act of obedience to the Son's word, that leads to an impossible, overwhelming abundance. And that's our first big clue. So let's zoom in on that moment, the turning point of this whole thing. That one command from the shore, and the huge realization it triggers. You see, here's the crucial thing to get. The miracle isn't really about the fish at all. The fish are just the medium. The real point of the miracle is to reveal who that person on the shore is. It's through that act of obedience and seeing the result that the disciples' eyes are finally opened. And there it is. The beloved disciple connects the dots. He doesn't recognize Jesus by his face from that distance. He recognizes him by the effect of his word when it's obeyed. This is the real climax of the scene. The miracle's whole purpose was a reveal. It points to the risen Lord. Okay, so if the miracle is about recognizing Jesus, then what on earth is the number for? This is where we get to the core of the symbol. It seems like 153 isn't about how many, it's about who. Now, to decode this, we need to wrap our heads around a huge idea in John's Gospel, something scholars call Johannine's sonship. From the very first chapter, this Gospel says that belonging to God's family isn't about your bloodline or your family tree. It's about being born of God, something that happens when you receive and respond to Jesus, the Word. And that connects perfectly with a statement made earlier in the Gospel that spells out Jesus' entire mission. It says flat out that he came to gather into one the children of God who are scattered. This wasn't a side project. This was the main event. Remember that phrase, gather into one. So when you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, it starts to look like this. The 153 fish, they represent the complete, gathered family of God's scattered children. The disciples, they're the ones who get to help with the gathering. Their success, it only happens when they obey the Son's command. And it all happens in one single net, a perfect symbol for the unity of this new family. But hang on, there's one last really crucial detail in this miracle we have to look at, and it has everything to do with what comes next for the disciples. This is another one of those little details that's so easy to just read right past, but it is loaded with meaning. I mean, a net filled with 153 big fish, it should be ripping apart at the seams. But the author makes a point to tell us specifically the net did not tear. So why does that matter so much? Well, because that unbroken net is this powerful symbol of divine preservation. The family that God gathers isn't just brought together, it's kept together. It's a sign that this new community is secure, that its unity will hold, and that the mission Jesus started isn't some fragile thing that's going to fall apart. And then the story just flows perfectly. First, the disciples recognize Jesus because they obey him. Then, right after that, Peter, who had failed spectacularly by denying Jesus 3 times, is restored with a 3-fold declaration of love. And it's only after that recognition and restoration that they're commissioned to feed the sheep, to go take part in this divine gathering themselves. And that's the knockout punch right there. The mission isn't for the perfect people. It's for the restored. Peter's massive failure didn't disqualify him. In fact, his restoration is exactly what qualifies him. Allegiance to the Son, not a perfect track record, is what you need to be part of his work.
And that leaves us with a pretty powerful thought to chew on. If the foundation for this huge, world-changing mission isn't about getting everything right all the time, but it's about recognizing the one who's calling you and coming back to him after you failed, well, what does that mean for any great work we might try to do? It kind of suggests that the most powerful work doesn't begin with our own strength, but with a moment of recognition.